All right, y'all, we got ourselves a bada bing and a bada boom today. Did I say that wrong? No, it's supposed to be a bada boom, bada bing. Yeah. Oh, thought I lost my luster for a second. Y'all, this one is titled The Indonesian Girl That Killed Her Best Friend with Poison Coffee Out of Jealousy. This gonna get me hot because I don't like that. I don't like that. Obviously, I don't like murder, but I don't like trying to get to somebody in something that they can't even like, see. Like poisoning food and poisoning drinks. You the devil. You the devil. Why is you poisoning drinks? If you want to kill somebody, look them in the eyes and do it then. If you just want to do that, we'll try skirt by. We'll put some little stuff in this cup. Like, bro, come on, bro. And out of jealousy? Are you serious? This might get me hot. I don't know, but let's watch it. Let's bada boom and a bada bing. Let's go. What the hell? This video is brought to you by Sebastian's Patreon. Not only is this page packed with exclusive videos, 800 plus at the time of this recording to be exact, but it also comes with a couple tiers. If you'd want to subscribe and support this growing community, click the link in the description below, and thank you for everything. Now, let's get back to the video. What the hell? All right, let's do it.
Bada bing, bada boo.
Devi was the manager at this local cafe in Jakarta called Olivier Cafe.
Also, I don't even like coffee. Imagine the first time I actually tried coffee and somebody poisoned me.
And she takes her job very, very seriously. She takes pride in taking care of her customers, making sure that all her staff are polished and polite. She made sure the cafe itself always looked very, very magical. It had this forest theme, but not like the Rainforest Cafe, no offense, Disney. It was like a magical plant-filled urban oasis. Like think of a coffee shop in Brooklyn. That's kind of the vibe. You're talking fiddle leaf plants everywhere, banana leaves just reaching over into all the booths. It was in one of the fanciest malls in the town.
Wow.
It was beautiful.
Wow. Oh, shit. Okay.
The cafe was often used as like a meeting spot for Jakarta's wealthiest families.
Nice.
And the decoration really reflected that. You have these like dark forest, the hunter green leather
this
booths
looks fire.
that are surrounded by all of this live plants everywhere. Just so much greenery. It feels like a paradise. They had these golden bar stools at this marble bar in the whole cafe. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I think if I was to go over there and just chill, would I get in trouble? Because this is the place that I just want to chill and do nothing. I think that's called loitering. But this is a nice vibe, yo.
The elite would gather there.
For coffee,
and Debbie
too?
knew that discretion was a big part of her job.
Okay.
And I'm sure just brushing past these patrons on a daily basis, making sure everyone's well fed, everyone's being assisted, I'm sure she heard a few things or two. Like, come on. Perhaps she overheard the businessman trying to convince his mistress, I swear I'm going to leave my wife this month.
Yeah, I'm just going to let y'all know. If you a mistress, if there are any mistresses out there, one, if that's what you want to do, I'm not judging, but it's kind of fucked up if you're fucking with a married man. And you married motherfuckers, stop cheating on your damn spouses. That's not right. And also, you're not leaving your wife. Stop lying to them, all right? You're just making a big-ass mess for what? Because you want to keep your side, huh? And make you a man lying? If you're gonna leave, then leave. Shit, you should have fucking left if you thought you were gonna cheat on her. Like,
It's going to happen this month. I
swear.
She walked by a group of middle-aged women over there, deep in conversation. One of them is planning to leave her husband for her trainer, you know? Listen, I'm not sure what she overheard on this particular day, January 6, 2016. I'm sure she would forget most of it by the
Don't cheat on your husbands either. Cheating is wrong. No.
end of the day. All of it would pale in comparison to what was about to happen.
What?
In one of the booths, there were 3 women sitting. Jessica, Hani, and Myrna.
Okay.
They'd all graduated from the same college, and now they're reconnecting again. There was so much to catch up on. One of them was recently married. She's planning her honeymoon.
Tough.
Another one is
Nice.
focused on her career. And another one is living in Australia but visiting Indonesia for the holidays.
Okay.
And she's single again. Okay, it should have been an exciting time for them to catch up, and the booth should have been filled with all these like loud giggles and screams and oh my gosh, right? But one of the girls wasn't feeling well. Myrna was always the center of the conversation, not because she wanted to be, but because she was like the glue in the friend group. She was the one
Not
that
the
kept
music.
the conversation very lively. She was now quiet.
Oh,
She had
fuck.
her hand on her head,
Oh,
almost as if she was like suffering from a sudden migraine.
oh.
And the other two girls, they kept glancing at her. They were concerned, but they don't want to call it out and keep asking her, what's wrong? What's wrong? And in the matter of seconds, Myrna leaned her head against the booth and she started covering one of her ears.
What?
As if she has this crazy migraine and any little noise could trigger it.
Oh.
White foam starts bubbling out of her mouth
Yo.
and she starts convulsing.
Oh my gosh.
Screams for help start coming out of this booth. Someone help, please help, call 112, please, you have to hurry, please help. Debbie, the manager, she runs to the booth. She's assessing the situation, taking it all in. And she, like everybody else in that cafe, all the staff, all the other random civilians, their most solid guess was that Myrna had some sort of pre-existing health condition.
What health condition makes you like foam at the mouth? Well, obvious. Sorry.
She's young, she's fit, she must have perhaps epilepsy, some sort of condition
I'm so
that
sorry.
would make her have seizures.
My
One
bad.
of the friends at
Brain
the
fart.
table was now an emotional wreck. She's screaming at everyone, you have to call 112, get help right now, we need to get to the hospital ASAP. Devi's eyes floated to the third girl.
Hey, quick question. What? So, actually, yeah, that would make sense as to why the person trying to help the victim here isn't the one calling 911. Like, sometimes it'd be like mind-boggling me that like someone is telling you somebody called 911. Oh my gosh, holy shit! Like, it's like, why don't you do it? But then I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, you gotta like assess the situation. So, which one of them did it?
She's standing back, stiff, unmoving.
What you
her
mean?
friend is literally convulsing and she's just standing there, emotionless.
Oh, hell
and
no.
She just stared as Devi and the employees, along with the emotional friend, are trying to tend to Myrna. Her eyes are kind of darting back and forth, like she's looking from person to person.
She did it. She did it.
And the scene is unfolding. She's got her hands in front of her, clasped like this. And ever so slightly,
Nigga, what?
Devi saw her scratch at them.
Scratch at her hand.
Scratch.
Yeah.
Oh, nah.
And then she makes eye contact with the manager.
Oh.
And she says, what did you put in the coffee?
Oh,
What?
It was
her.
exactly. That's the reaction Devi had. What? It's so random. It's such a bizarre reaction. It's so unsettling. The manager was insulted. I mean, she, like most people, like I said, thought that Myrna had some sort of pre-existing health condition, like epilepsy, but now she's being accused of poisoning the coffee.
Hey, man, listen. I would think the best way to say that was, hey, is there anything in the coffee? Or try to say like, hey, I'm not saying that you know, of course I'm not going to say it slowly. Well, then why? I mean, I get that you were insulted, but like we're in a high stress situation. You can't really get mad at how someone try to ask you like, yo, this is somebody's convulsing and needs to go to the hospital and you worried about your feelings? Can we worry about that later? Can we worry about, please? Let's get this person to the hospital and make sure she's good. Can we do that, please? Okay.
Or that there's some sort of tainted chemical in the coffee.
Oh.
Devi glanced at the cup of coffee on the table, and it did have a strange hue to it.
Huh?
She ordered one of the staff to preserve it in the back. She just had this gut feeling. That there
Preserve
was
it?
something wrong, and she wanted to prove that she was innocent, that this cafe did nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just everything about this situation, the way she saw this so-called friend sitting there scratching at her hands in her lap, emotionless, it would send chills down her back later. As soon as Myrna arrived at the hospital, they checked her vitals, and she was dead. They
Rest
tried
in peace.
CPR, but nothing worked, and at
Bro.
6:30 p.m.
Oh my
that day,
gosh.
she was pronounced dead.
Yo.
About an hour after she met up with her old college friends for a quick catch-up session.
Nah.
Her pupils were dilated. She wasn't responding to any light. She wasn't breathing. And no
Oh
matter
my
what the doctors
gosh.
did, they just could not get her heart pumping again. She was gone. And her loved ones, they were left with I mean, obviously, all this grief and trauma, but also this overwhelming mystery was left with all of Indonesia. And the mystery is, what the hell happened to Myrna?
Bro, that's so fucked up. That's so fucked up. She poisoned the coffee out of jealousy, bro. Are you serious? Man, I thought all y'all was doing good. What the fuck, bro?
As always, full show notes are available
That's
at
fucked
rottenmangopodcast.com. This case took place in Indonesia in 2016. We had our wonderful Indonesian researcher help assist in the research of this.
Hey.
They informed me, though, that there is a lot of misinformation out there. Or, okay, I wouldn't say misinformation, but a lot of untrustworthy sources that have been floating around. So we did our best to be pretty mindful in avoiding them. But if you're doing your own research, just be careful.
Okay.
This was also a case that was pretty viral at the time. And, of course, with that, there's often rumors and fake accounts that are created to just stir the pot. So with that being said, let's get started.
Let's do it.
The Billy Blue College of Design in Australia, it kind of had these little pockets of communities within its school. So all the South Korean exchange students, they would find each other and they would be friends. And I think it's the feeling of, okay, well, no one's really going to understand my innate struggles unless they're in the same circumstances as me. So then the Indonesian exchange students, they did the same thing. It was almost like each of these students were like their own little magnets, and they would be around campus until slowly, each day of the semester would pass, they would get closer and closer and closer together.
That's lovely.
And at the
That's
center
nice.
of all of this was Myrna. She was the ultimate magnet for the Indonesian exchange students. People just really wanted to be near her. I think Myrna knew herself really well, and she was very confident in her own skin. And that's not to say that she's a perfect person. Nobody is. But I think people like people who know themselves. Like just someone who's not trying too hard to please others.
Yeah.
That's who Myrna was. She almost had this.
Hey, I feel the same way. I like people who like to be themselves. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with being yourself. You know what I'm saying? However, if being yourself is being jealous of somebody being themselves, there's something wrong with that. What? Don't be jealous of people, okay? Trust me. You are great as you are. As long as you're not poisoning coffee or killing people, you're great as you are, you know?
This innate confidence from within that comes off really, really attractive and charismatic to people, including a girl
Myrna.
named Jessica Wongzu.
Oh,
She's a
shit.
fellow Indonesian exchange student.
Oh, my gosh. Is it her? Oh,
And
Lord.
Myrna was Jessica's best friend during college days. Okay, the two have so much in common. They're both from Indonesia. They had very similar childhoods in Indonesia where they were upper class, kids. They went to all the fancy schools in Indonesia. Now they're studying abroad without their families. They're going through like the same motions, the same emotions as well.
So why the fuck is she so jealous? Like, what? Like, what the fuck?
But the main difference between the two girls, I would say, personalities. Just so vastly different. Like I said, Myrna is incredibly sociable. Jessica, on the other hand, not so much. So she was much more reserved and shy. Myrna would constantly encourage her, like, go talk to people.
Yeah, girl,
Make
come on.
friends. Like, what? We're all the way, you only have one life. We're all the way here in Australia. Like, just have fun. But Jessica would think to herself, yeah, okay, well, so easy for you to say because you're freaking perfect.
Oh, it's one of those situations. Okay. You know, it's really hard to try and get somebody to make friends. It's really hard. Like, if they don't want to, that's just it. Like, they don't want to. But, like, it gets to a point where it's like, you can't be mad that you're not making friends like that because you just want to be a hermit crab. How do you want to make friends, but you don't want to do the work to make friends? And then as someone who's, I guess, has a lot of friends or is seemingly perfect, it's like, shit, I can't say nothing to you because you just going to automatically say, oh, it's so easy for you to make friends because everybody's your fucking friend. Like, listen, bro. Like, what the hell? I don't know. I genuinely don't know what to do. Like, I was told this when I was in high school, and I was like, listen, motherfucker, you don't want friends. Simple as that. You don't. I'm not finna be going back and forth trying to help you out. And you over here talk about some, oh, it must be so easy for you. It's easy for you, huh? It's not easy for me. It's easy for you. Like, bro, what the fuck, dude? I'm trying to be a fucking friend here. You about to lose another friend. You about to lose a friend, and then you gonna have -1 friends, and you gonna have to make another one, or you just gonna be stuck by yourself. Or you can be happy with that, I guess. Which you mean ass.
It's interesting, okay? Jessica was the type of person that she did not let people in very easily, but when she did, she would put in so much effort into maintaining a friendship with them. She's the type of friend that would absolutely never forget your birthday.
Aw.
So due in part to Jessica's persistence, Jessica and Myrna, they stayed really close during just the entirety of college. They did welcome 2 more girls into their friend group, so it was like the 4 girls, right? But Jessica always felt like, you know what? Hani and Vera, they're here because they're fun, but it's me and Myrna. Like, we're the center of this group. We're the 2 best buds.
Is it true that there's always like, in like a group of, I guess, 3 or 4, it's always a duo, and the other 2 people are just extra? Is that true? In terms of like 3 to 4 people friendship groups? I heard that the other day, and I just wanted to inquire.
But all of that would change once they graduate college. I'm sure like the weeks leading up to college graduation, they're like, no, we're going to be friends forever. We're going to like buy houses on the same block and raise our kids together. But
Aw.
everyone has their own life plan.
Yeah.
And so naturally, after they graduate, their paths are kind of growing apart, or some of them are colliding, right? And the dynamics are shifting. So Myrna was engaged to Arif, and she had plans to move back to Indonesia with him.
Okay,
She wanted
okay.
to start her own career, start her own family with Arif. And Hani, one of the 4 girls, she was going back to Indonesia after her studies as well. So naturally, Myrna and Hani are going to grow closer together.
Right.
That makes sense, right? And as
Yes.
for Jessica Wangzu, she wants to stay in Australia. She had found work, and she had her boyfriend Patrick that she had been dating for a while, so it just kind of made sense. Now, right after graduation, they were like, yeah, we're going to do like girls' night every Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. But then everyone started getting their own jobs. Everyone started making plans to move back. Like it was a lot. They started seeing each other less and less, and they're already drifting apart before Myrna and Hani even moved to Indonesia.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold you, bro. Like, not really losing friends, but like coming to the realization that, I guess, throughout, my life, like the transitions of going from elementary school to middle school to high school to college, it's like, damn, bro. Like to now, it's like, bro, I used to have so many friends, bro. Like we just be talking to anybody and everybody, and now everybody got lives and people is too busy, or they just far away. Like that is kind of a hard pill to swallow when it comes to growing up. And then say like if you get a good job, you got to make friends at your job. Hopefully they not complete assholes or killers. And it's like, all right, we gotta do that. Got to find new things, and it's like, oh damn. It's like damn, bro. Like why would I even make these friends if we not even finna talk after school? Like damn, bro. Like do you not you don't. I understand that you got life, but check on the nigga, bro. Check on the nigga. You feel me?
And add to that, like most friend groups, I think drama was inevitable.
Oh,
Okay? There was a
How?
public falling out between 2 of the girls.
a public falling
Jessica
out.
Wangzu had walked into a restaurant in Sydney, Australia. She's carrying this little gift box, perfectly wrapped, beautifully wrapped. And this was somewhat of like an upscale restaurant. She dressed all cute. She was very excited for this dinner reservation. She told the waiter the name of her friend Myrna, who made the reservation, and she's being led to the table where her friend is waiting for her.
Okay.
Now, Jessica obviously expected Myrna. That's
Okay.
who the present was for. But she was not expecting to see Myrna's fiance, Arif.
Also there, you're
Yeah.
saying. Okay.
So
Was she mad? You ain't know your friend has a fiance?
she's kind of like, oh, I was hoping this would be like a girls' dinner. I mean, it was just supposed to be us 2 finally catching up, but that's weird.
How do you not like talk about that before you go to the dinner or like make reservations? Like wouldn't it say on the thing, or did they call or something? Because usually say it's 2016, so I'm assuming they have like phones and shit, obviously. But like, don't it tell you the reservation and then you send the details to the other person? and then y'all figure it out? Because it's like, all right, like if I get a notification of the thing, I'll be like 3. Okay, if I don't know if it's her fiance, who the third person? So I wouldn't walk in there and be surprised. It's like, oh, I thought this was only a girl's thing. Like,
Jessica asked to take Myrna out for dinner to celebrate Myrna's birthday, and she just wasn't expecting an extra guest. But
it's Myrna's birthday. You don't think Myrna was gonna invite her fiance? Or am I dumb? Am I missing something?
you know what? Whatever. So Jessica sits down in the chair across from Myrna and Arif, and she tries to make the best of it. She puts the gift box on the table. Myrna opens it up. It's this beautiful dress. And she's like, oh my God, it's lovely. Thank you. And Jessica's like, no. Don't worry about it. I was just thinking about you.
Oh, okay.
So then she puts the box aside. Myrna's like, okay, well, how has life been? Like, I feel like it's been forever. So Jessica had known Arif for a couple of years, but she wasn't really close with him.
Okay.
He's not someone that she would necessarily call a friend. To her, Arif was just a friend's fiance. That's it. Just along for the ride. Jessica acknowledged his presence and then started spilling the tea to Myrna. And Myrna's like, you're still with Patrick, right? Like, how's that going? This was kind of a sore spot.
Wait, hold on. I'm not gonna hold you. When me and Kyla and like I met her friends and they get to talking, I just be listening. I just be like, oh, okay. Like unless they ask me a question, I'm just like like I'm just laughing at jokes and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, why are you so quiet? I mean, I don't know what to talk about. Like, I don't know, y'all. This is my first time meeting y'all. I would like be nice. I laugh at y'all jokes and everything, but it is an interesting. It's definitely an interesting dynamic when you're not a part of the group, but you're like connected to someone a part of the group. You know what I'm saying? I just be chilling. I just be chilling, listening, observing. You know what I'm saying? Complimenting. You know, saying thank you and everything. But it's like, I don't really know what to say at this moment.
For Jessica. Yeah. Myrna and Arif were the perfect couple. Everyone thought so. They met early on in college. They've been strong ever since.
They're probably not the perfect couple. I'll just put that out there.
And Jessica could not help but compare herself and Patrick to their relationship.
Oh my
It just
gosh.
didn't feel nice. Patrick was this very toxic person. It's like he knew that all Jessica had left in Australia was him. It's like he knew that all of her college friends were moving back to Indonesia. So she confided in Myrna in the past about how, you know, sometimes Patrick would take advantage of the fact that Jessica relied on him for emotional support. She said,
Bro,
I just don't really feel respected in the relationship. Sometimes the fights would get so bad. She said that she would lock herself in the bathroom and stare at the razor blade on the sink.
oh my gosh,
She
girl.
said that she had to gather all of the mental strength to just keep herself from picking it up.
Damn, fuck Patrick. Fuck that nigga.
But sometimes she wasn't that strong, and she still has all the scars to remember it.
Oh, no.
I mean, of course, any friend listening to this is going to be beyond concerned. And Myrna asked again, and Jessica responded alarmingly. She said, yeah, it's actually gotten worse with Patrick. And Myrna's looking at her with a look that is becoming very, very familiar to Jessica, which is very compassionate, very concerned, very worried, but also there was a little bit of pity. And she says, Jessica, I think
Pity?
you'd be so much happier without him.
Yeah.
She doesn't respond. Myrna continues. It's just, I know it's not any of my business, but just seeing you unhappy and like you already told me about all of his bad habits and his bad financial choices, and like you said sometimes you're scared he's going to get violent. I feel like you should leave him, you know? She didn't know what to say. So Jessica said nothing. She didn't even move.
What?
Maybe a part of it was that she felt like Myrna was going to say that. Maybe a part of it was that she knew that Myrna was right. I don't know.
The fuck did you expect her to say as your best friend? What?
But a part of Jessica started getting angry.
What?
Doesn't this girl know that Patrick is all I have left? Everyone's leaving back to Indonesia. Literally, what do you mean leave him? That's all I have.
I understand, but like, oh, this is a very heartbreaking situation. Oh my gosh. Fuck, dude. I would like in all honesty, I would like to, this is a very idealistic thing, but it's like I would like to be the person in the middle saying like, hey, y'all can come to a solution. You ain't gotta be mad. Okay, you can come to find a solution somewhere. You ain't gotta publicly fall out. It's just like, girl, he's manipulating you, like, to the point where you're like having those thoughts. I understand that's all you have, but he might take everything and possibly leave too. Or worse, get you up out of here. Like, girl, why are you getting mad at your best friend? Like,
I'm not like perfect Myrna who can just make friends and date anyone that I want. It's not like I have the perfect boyfriend like Arif who's just going to take care of me and respect me.
I'm kind of petty because I'd probably be like, if I'm like Arif, I'll be sitting there. I'm just like minding my business, and if she said, I'll be like, oh, thank you, I really appreciate it. And then Jessica might tell me, man, shut your bitch ass up. Like, if you see this, but I don't say anything.
She's getting angrier and angrier, and it just feels like Myrna never has to struggle for anything, and Myrna doesn't even understand. And suddenly Jessica's anger just boils over, and she gets up and she leaves.
The fuck?
She walks out on the dinner. She doesn't make an excuse. She doesn't say, oh my gosh, this is so random, guys,
She just
but I
gets
have
up
to
and
go
leaves?
projectile vomit. She doesn't say, oop, I just got a text message of an emergency. She just gets up and leaves.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Myrna tries texting and calling her, but she doesn't even have the energy to respond. Maybe a part of her is even a bit embarrassed of how she handled this uncomfortable dinner, right? She never responded. Instead, Jessica watched on Facebook as Myrna moves back to Indonesia, starts her wedding prep. She watches Myrna reunite with her family, buy an apartment with Arif, show off her engagement ring, try on wedding dresses. Jessica thought, okay, I think I'm going to get invited to the wedding.
Ain't this the evil eye stuff? Ain't that what that evil eye stuff is? Or the wandering eye, not wandering eye, the watching eye or something? Like, I the visual in my head is kind of like fucking me up. Like, I can imagine Jessica just literally just in her room on her phone, just refreshing Myrna stories and stuff, and just like being weird. I don't know.
Like, I know that we had this whole falling out. It was bad. It was awkward. But I was like her best friend for what? 4 years. Maybe the wedding is going to bring us together.
You're not about to just yell at me like that and think you about to be invited to the wedding because I was your best friend. You ain't think about that when you just like, just tripped on me like that. Like, what?
The days went by.
You're not getting that
keep
invite.
checking her mailbox.
You're not getting that invite, girl. You're not getting that. Why do some people... I'm trying to figure out, why don't some people be knowing the consequences of their actions? That's a consequence. You're not finna talk to me like that. Like, no. What?
That's right. And that letter never came. She found out that Myrna had gotten married from the wedding photos on Facebook. It was, of course, a fairy tale wedding.
Oh, shit.
Myrna and Arif vowed to each other a lifetime of happiness, November of 2015 in Bali, Indonesia. It was the destination wedding. It was lavish, but it was still fun and relatable. I mean, you had the sunset, you had the...
I'm not gonna lie. If I was Jessica, I'd be hot seeing all these people and I wasn't invited. Oh, I'd be hot. Not like poison or coffee hot, but I'd be hot.
beach, the outdoor tent with sheer curtains and the chandeliers hanging from above.
They went
it was
crazy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Jessica scrolled through the photos and she's like, why was I not invited? The other two girls, Vera and Hani, they were invited.
Oh.
And she's feeling like, it's not like I asked her to be her bridesmaid, her maid of honor. What? And she turned off her phone.
Okay.
To Jessica, maybe it felt like a very painful contrast to her own life. 3 days later, she was fired from her job.
Oh, no.
A little while after that, like a few weeks after that, her relationship with Patrick ended. It was a very, very messy breakup. Like, I'm talking police got involved type of messy.
Oh, Lord.
What?
She had no one to see, nowhere to go. She was truly and completely alone. And she was hospitalized twice for attempts on her own life during the months of October and November.
Oh.
She's going through like the worst period of her life and she felt like she has nobody to turn to. So she takes this deep breath. She's looking around her room, probably thinking about her life, and she reaches out to Myrna. She doesn't tell her everything that's happened. She just says, hey, I'm going to go back to Indonesia to hang out with family. And I think it'll be nice to just be in a familiar place, like be back home for once. But do you want to grab some coffee? And when Jessica reached out, it was arranged that both Myrna and Hani were going to meet with her for a coffee date.
Oh, shit.
Very exciting. And
Nah.
since Jessica is the one inviting them, she's doing all the planning. She chooses
Oh,
the spot.
nah.
She's like, okay, Olivier Cafe in Jakarta's most expensive mall. Very upscale. She even offered to pay for the drinks, like in the group chat. She was like, oh, drinks are on me. And of course, everyone's like, no, don't worry about it. But Jessica is insisting. She stated that she and Myrna had left off on such a bad note that she wanted to make up for it.
Please tell me she wasn't plotting this whole time.
So then it was settled. The coffee date was set for Olivier Cafe at 5 p.m.
Okay.
Jessica would walk through the doors of the cafe at 3:30 p.m. A full
3:30?
90 minutes early.
3:30.
And this
The
part
fuck?
is so interesting to me.
All right, let's
I
go.
imagine if I arrived anywhere 90 minutes early, I would either walk around the mall, since this is inside of a mall, right? Even if you're
Yeah.
not shopping, just do some eye shopping.
Yeah.
Or I would grab my phone or my Kindle and plop in the cafe and wait while I just busy myself.
Mm-hmm.
But Jessica does something very bizarre. She
What?
orders 3 drinks. She orders 2 cocktails, one for her, one for Hani, because she had asked for their orders, right?
Uh-huh.
And then she gets a Vietnamese iced coffee for Myrna.
Right.
But she arrived so early, in fact, that if she got the drinks now and sat down, all the ice would have been melted by the times the others have arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she tells the waiter, hey, I'm going to be right back, but I'm going to pay for the drinks. But you're
Oh.
going to make them when I get back. It's really
Okay.
weird.
Prepaid?
Wait.
What?
What do you mean be right back? Like she's
Where's she
leaving the
going?
cafe?
Yeah, she's going to go hang out in the mall, but she's ordering the drinks.
90 minutes
Why?
early.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
So she's basically going in there and being like, hey guys, I'm not going to sit down right now, but these are the drinks I'm going to want in like an hour.
That is a use of free will, because I couldn't even compute something like that happening in my brain. I'm like, what? I feel like my brain is short circuiting. Like, why? Do people do that?
And everyone's like, okay.
Fuck.
It's really weird. Like, why don't you come back in an hour and order it? Why are you
Yeah.
just letting us know?
Maybe
way
she
ahead of
wants to
time?
pay for it ahead of time and
Yeah, so she does pay for it. Some people think it's like the Asian way, because, you know, at the end you fight for the bill and then chances are you might not get it. So maybe she wanted to pay for it early. But it is very odd behavior to
Okay.
even stop by. Like, I imagine if I got to the mall at 3:30, I would walk around and then I would get there maybe like 15 minutes early and then pay for the drinks.
yeah.
But to go at 3:30,
That's
a full
crazy.
90 minutes early,
That's
and be like,
crazy.
I'll be right back. It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
So she leaves the cafe, and we don't know all the stores that she goes into, but we do know that she goes into a Bath and Body Works. She buys 3 bottles of soap. Listen, I used to be obsessed with Bath and Body Works back in the day. Even if you get the biggest size of soap, it's not as big as their bags. Their
Really?
bags are designed
Oh,
to fit multiple
goodness.
candles and multiple bottles of soap.
Bro, I
It's
remember
designed
those
to fit a lot of
bags.
stuff. Jessica asks for 3 separate bags, and these
Okay, quick question. Did anybody get confused with like Bath and Body Works and Bed Bath and Beyond? Like, I thought those were the same stores growing up. No, just me. Okay. All right. Sorry.
are not like the mini bags they have. These are like their regular full-size bags. And one bag for each soap.
Okay.
Maybe I thought, okay, we don't know because it never happened, but
Oh.
maybe her plan, her intention was to give each of them a soap. So she gets a soap, and Myrna gets a soap, and Hani gets a soap, right? But anyway,
Soap-
she buys the soaps,
Soap
walks
girls.
2 minutes back to Olivier Cafe,
Oh shit.
and then she does like a walk around the cafe.
Fuck.
She's not following a waiter or anything. This is presumed. I mean, you can think of it in 2 ways. Some people think of it as, well, maybe she's just scoping it out to see the most intimate part of the restaurant because it's her first time meeting her friends in a while. Maybe they want to talk about some crazy things or spill some juicy tea. Maybe she's got some crazy gossip about Patrick, right?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just like not tapped into like humans doing things. Because if I look and I see somebody like coming in, like say like I'm here just vibing by myself or with somebody talking, and I see this lady come in and start looking around and stuff like that, and just like scoping the scene, like I'm gonna be like, hold on, what is going on? Because why are you doing this? Like it may be normal, but like it's like, yeah, what the hell is going on? If I'm a worker and I'm definitely, if I'm like behind the counter and I look and I see like, oh, that girl is back. What the hell is she doing? Why is she doing it? Oh, she left? Oh, like, girl, what the fuck is you planning? Like, what the hell? What's going on? If you don't go sit your ass down in a food court or something, or in a cafe and just start playing on your phone, like Candy Crush or some shit, like, what the fuck?
Right? Other half of people are thinking, oh, she's scoping out where the CCTV cameras are.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So after,
Or she could be finding like a good spot
yeah.
I
or
don't know.
whatever.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes I'm trying to imagine when I walk into a restaurant, I do look for good seats if it's relatively empty, but I can usually visually see everything. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, like that one. Or like over there looks quieter and
Yeah.
not near the little entryway.
So did she pick a good seat?
Yeah, she picks a booth and it's a good seat because
Oh, it's
there were about 2 CCTV cameras pointed at that booth. One of them was covered by an overgrown fiddle leaf plant.
So she wants to be in CCTV, or she wants to the
Not.
tree to cover? Okay.
Tree to cover it.
I
Seems.
see.
Yeah. So the booths were connected. Okay, if you really want to visualize it, it's a green leather booth that's like a half circle.
right.
Okay, and then there's like this round black table, so that you can put your drinks and your food on, right? And then the other side is like relatively empty. No one's gonna sit there. And it's not like this booth was in a
Conniving.
secluded dark corner away from everything else. Like nothing
Conniving.
in this cafe was like that. This is in the
Sneaky.
middle of the cafe. There's another booth exactly right next to it. And it's assumed that, again, Jessica chose this booth because the closest CCTV camera was covered by an overgrown plant.
Did she not think that the other CCTV things that were watching you as you came in started looking around for the camera, making eye contact with every single camera? Like you must have won or gotten caught, because what the fuck? Like, this is terrible.
However,
This is ass.
there's another camera on the other wall that has a clear view of the table. So Jessica sits down inside the booth. She puts the Bath and Body Works bags on the
shit.
table. The restaurant had customers. It wasn't super busy, but it wasn't like during prime time. So there was a little bit of lull in business. There were a lot of there were more empty seats than there were taken seats, okay?
Okay.
There's this soft, steady hum of conversation. 50 minutes after she first entered Oliver Cafe, the waiter serves her the 2 cocktails and the Vietnamese
Bro,
coffee.
this dramatization.
7 at like 4:20 p.m. They meet at 5.
Right.
Still 40 minutes. I mean, the ice is going to melt for sure.
Yeah.
The waiter makes the Vietnamese coffee at the table. He's busy pouring the hot water through the espresso. Jessica is also busy. She's shifting the Bath and Body Works bags just ever so slightly. Like inch by inch. She would kind of nudge it a little and then nudge it a little more and then nudge it a little more. Very, very slowly.
I can see it
Wait,
moving.
is there CCTV footage of all of this?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then eventually, the iced coffee was completely covered on all CCTV cameras by the big Bath and Body Works
Oh,
bags.
hell no.
Yeah. The waiter finished making it and he leaves. Myrna and Hani aren't due to arrive for like at least another 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
CCTV cameras have a clear view of the cocktails, but not of the coffee because of the Bath and Body Works bags.
Nah, she been plotting since she did that. You conniving heifer. Come on, bro. Are you serious? Are you serious? Come on, bro. Like, but like, I'm trying to figure out what clicked. What clicked, and you're like, oh, I'm finna kill this hoe. Like, I don't understand. I'm sorry. I don't know.
At 4:30, Jessica opens up her purse with both of her hands. She reaches in, turns her head to the left, then to the right, and then pulls out her hand. She puts something on the table, but CCTV is not able to see what she put there because the footage is so grainy.
Fuck.
And when she placed it on the table, she put it behind the Bath and Body Works bag, so we don't know what's there. The camera catches her moving her arms behind the bags, but again, we don't know what she's doing. Meanwhile, Arif is dropping off his wife Myrna at the cafe.
Okay.
He dropped her off and he promised to pick her up when she was done. He drove her to the front of the mall where she was going to meet with Jessica and Hani, and he pulled the car to a stop, and she's like unbuckling her seatbelt. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to pick you up in a couple of hours, and then maybe we can grab dinner. She's like, yeah, I'll text you when we're almost ready. Myrna glances out the window towards the mall and she sees Honey. So she's like, oh my God, that's Honey.
Hey,
Like, gotta
girl.
go, love you, bye. And she runs out the door.
Damn.
So Arif is kind of smiling at this point. You know, I feel like for him, even just dropping Myrna off for a coffee date, like that was an honor for him. He had met Myrna back in college, and originally he was just one of Myrna's many, many friends. He felt like he was like this moth to a flame, and she was like the only light bulb in the dark night.
You know, usually I would think something like that would be corny as hell, but judging how their wedding was, it's like, yeah, I understand. It tracks. I get it. Romantical dude, man. Very romantical. Shout out to Cuz. It's fucked up, bro. It's very fucked up. What's about to entail. It's conniving. Just, ugh.
And she must have felt similarly to him because their friendship would evolve into a full-blown relationship.
And
They
merge.
stayed together all throughout college. And when Myrna graduated, the two of them decided to take the next step.
Yeah.
They were going to move in together, move back to Indonesia, be with their families, and start a family of their own.
Yeah.
Myrna got a job at her father's company. And okay, when I say father's company, it sounds like she's like a Nepo baby. Her family is very wealthy, right? But she works really, 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 really hard to make her father proud. She was the owner of one of the branches of her family's business, and she managed a bunch of other factories from other branches. So her dad owned like a plastic container business. They exported products all over Asia
What
and
the fuck?
is booming.
I bet.
Yeah, she
Shit.
did get the position because of her dad, but all the
Okay.
employees, they could attest that she was incredibly hardworking. Her work ethic was something that even Arif admired about his wife, but his absolute favorite thing about Myrna, probably her humility or her dimpled smile.
Oh.
So with Myrna's upbringing, a lot of people are actually very surprised that she's so very humble. I mean, I think she just had it in her, I suppose. So Myrna has a twin named Sandy. And they were both so spoiled by their dad. He was this scary, astute businessman, but his weakness were his girls. He had three
Makes
girls,
sense.
Myrna, Sandy, and a younger daughter. And the twins, Myrna and Sandy,
Aw.
they were identical twins. So he would take pleasure in dressing them identically. It was like a cute little shtick they had when they were younger. It was like double the cuteness, probably, most likely, double the trouble, right? But as they grow up, he's really just embracing that both of them have complete and utter opposite personalities. So they would go to the same schools. And just to give you perspective on how wealthy they were, even before they studied abroad in Australia, they went to some of the best institutions in Jakarta. They went to Jubilee School, which is an international private school that is associated with the Cambridge International School.
Oh,
It's considered
shit.
one of the most expensive international schools in all of Indonesia.
Oh my goodness.
And so after that, they're sent abroad to study, which is very, very costly.
They haven't.
And even though the twins, they were like each other's best friend, they lived completely separate lives. They had completely different hobbies. They had completely different interests and completely different friend groups. And I think that's so much cooler.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they didn't even like the same things, but they were basically soulmates, if that makes sense. They just found peace with each other, and they were both very well behaved, it said. People said Myrna and Sandy were always the type of students that were incredibly helpful. I think they were very proud of their father and did not want to make him look bad.
Damn, this is just
Yeah,
an
they were
amazing
very humble,
family,
both of them.
bro. What the
But I
fuck?
digress.
Okay.
So after dropping her off,
Damn.
Arif goes back home to resume planning their long-awaited honeymoon. So this is January 2016. They had plans to visit South Korea in April of
Hey.
2016, which is arguably the nicest time to visit. The weather is beautiful. And it was going to be, if they were lucky, their last trip without kids.
Oh.
Yeah. Because Myrna's
Oh.
twin Sandy, she had kids of her own, and the two twins dreamed of, how soon Myrna was going to have her own family, and their little kids would run around with each other, and hopefully they would be as close
Aw.
to each other as the two sisters were, right?
Oh.
So Arif would plan his honeymoon when he got home. By the evening that same day, he would be planning a funeral. Myrna and Hani arrive at the cafe at 5:15 p.m. They meet out at the
I just knew she was gonna cut this lovely time in half, or just cut this with this. Let's get back to the shit that happened. Damn, bro. The fuck, Jessica? Fuck is wrong with you, dude?
front and they walk in together. They tell the waiter the name of the reservation, Jessica, and he leads them over to Jessica's booth. The drinks have been at the table for 55 minutes at this point. The ice in the coffee has completely
55
melted, but
Oh,
I digress. Both Myrna and Hani, they slide into the booth. So Myrna is in the middle of the two girls. So Jessica's on one edge and then Hani's on the other. And then Jessica is seen motioning to the drinks. Like, this is for you, you know? Murray, you said you wanted the Vietnamese iced coffee. You said you wanted the cocktail.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Myrna drinks a sip or two of it. And out loud, Myrna says, oh my God, this tastes awful. Here, try it. She pushes the coffee towards Hani. Hani picks up the glass, smells it, and just kind of like, she's wrinkling her nose. She takes the tiniest little sip. And at this point, Myrna is kind of like fanning her hand in front of her mouth, like, like
what's in that shit?
Almost like a burning motion. Like, it's
Oh my gosh, what is in that?
it's hot type of motion.
What the fuck?
Hani agrees. That tastes weird. She passes it on for Jessica to try. But Jessica's like, oh, no thanks. I don't really want that. If you guys are both saying it's nasty, why would I take a sip, right? Within
Drink the fucking coffee. Drink it. Drink it. See, I probably think she did something to this shit, because why does it smell like this?
seconds, Myrna's head is rolled down to the back of the booth.
Bro.
Her eyes roll into the back of her head, and she begins to convulse.
What the fuck is
was
in that?
instant.
Yeah.
What is...
Hani sees Jessica shake her head at the table.
Huh?
And Hani's eye is caught by sudden movement, and it's Myrna. So Jessica's shaking her head like, I don't want to sip. And then in her peripheral vision, Hani sees Myrna convulsing. So she jumps up immediately, and Hani is screaming, help, help, someone help, call 112. Jessica is sitting frozen in the booth next to Myrna, and the restaurant is silent. All eyes are on Hani. She's like, please, please, someone help, I don't know what's happening.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'll be hot as shit at Jessica. Like, girl, what the fuck is you doing? Call 112. Like, what are you doing? Like, huh? Like, what?
The cafe manager, Devi, comes rushing out, and she sees Myrna convulsing and the foam coming out of her mouth.
Oh,
and
my
she turns
goodness.
to the waiter that is standing behind her, and she's like, go get the police. She rushes over to Myrna, and she's like holding her head to keep it from banging on the table because she's losing consciousness.
Oh, my goodness.
Hani quickly catches on, rushes over as well, and is protecting like Myrna's flailing limbs from
Bro, is that Jessica right there just standing?
the hard edge of the table because she's convulsing. Jessica, she's emotionless. Her
fuck?
eyes are just kind of darting back
Oh
and
my
forth, watching
gosh.
the chaos happen. And her hands are in her lap, but they're clasped together, and she's kind of like slightly itching her palms,
What the fuck?
kind of like itching. And Hani says to the manager, to no one in particular really, she just sat down and took a few sips, and then the seizures started. This has never happened before.
Oh, my goodness.
Debbie looks at the glass of coffee that's still on the table, and it's mostly full. She calls another waiter over, and she's like, this is interesting. Now, this is when Jessica is like, what did you put in the coffee?
Oh, she said that?
Wow.
And Debbie's insulted.
Nigga, I thought the waiter said that to Debbie. Bitch. What? I thought the waiter... Oh, my Lord. Oh, boy. I'd be mad. Cause what is you talking about? What do you mean, what did I put in the coffee? Why did you come in here 90 minutes and start asking for coffee? Huh? Why's the iced coffee ain't got no ice in it? Huh? You want to ask all these fucking questions? What did I put in the coffee? The ice. That's not in there anymore. What happened to the ice since you want to ask some motherfucking questions? Why is it still full? Huh? What? Like, what? What? The hell?
So Debbie's like, okay, waiter, bring me water and take the coffee back to the kitchen. Don't let anybody touch it.
Jessica must be freaking out then.
Yeah. You want to start flapping your gums? Watch out. This is evidence now. Talking about what you did with the coffee. Nigga, why does it smell like that? Huh? Why I got sulfur in it? Like, what?
Yeah. I mean, Debbie was really not happy with the suggestion that her coffee had caused this to happen.
Like, what?
They had followed all the procedures and all the protocols when making their food. I mean, there was just no way. Still, she did notice that it had a strange yellowish tint when the waiter took it out. A lot of people said it looked like turmeric coffee. Like a golden latte, you know? So she chalked it up to maybe the cafe lighting is weird. Like, it's kind of like that warm
Debbie
cafe
ain't do
lighting.
nothing.
Maybe in the back you can see it better because it's the kitchen lights. So Debbie calls the waiter over.
It wasn't Debbie. It was Jessica.
Hey, is the coffee in the back? Yeah. Put it in a clean glass jar and put a lid on it and keep the coffee glass.
Oh.
So that waiter comes running to tell Devi that the ambulance was close. The mall's medical staff arrived with a wheelchair, and they're carrying Myrna. They're wheeling Myrna
Oh my
to the front of the mall so
gosh.
the ambulance can get to her quicker.
Oh,
As Myrna was
no.
being wheeled away, Hani had glanced, and there was this middle-aged woman standing in the middle of the dining room. And she had her eyes squeezed tightly, and her hands were pressed together.
What you mean?
She was praying as hard as she could for Myrna.
Aw.
The other patrons had joined her, and some of them even had their hands clasped in front of them. Others reached out and touched the shoulders of those who were praying. And the whole restaurant seemed to be pleading to the highest power that they knew of.
And you got this demon in there just standing. And you mean to tell me she ain't just burst into flames? With all this devilish behavior? Like what?
That Myrna would get home safe tonight.
Oh my goodness.
Except Jessica.
Yeah.
Myrna was wheeled out of the restaurant, and Hani was running after the team with her phone in her hand. She's calling Arif, telling him to meet her at the hospital ASAP. Meanwhile, back at the cafe, a waiter is holding Myrna's glass of Vietnamese coffee back in the kitchen, and he's studying it. And he tells another waiter, "Hey, come here." One of the coworkers comes over. "Is that from table 54? Yeah, is the coffee like a turmeric coffee?" The coworker looked at it. Usually Vietnamese coffee is like a dark brown. So besides sweetened condensed milk, the only other thing in there is ice and espresso. The ice was melted, but it just dilutes the color. It shouldn't make it a different color.
Right.
This coffee was not dark brown. It was not light brown. It was more of like a dark orange, like a very deep yellow.
What the fuck?
In the shadow, it might look acceptable, but now that they were looking at it in the bright fluorescent lights of the kitchen, they could see it as plain as day. It was just such a bizarre shade. The first waiter sniffs the coffee. Kind of smells weird. He pushes it in the second waiter's face. The second waiter taps his finger against the top of the coffee surface so that a tiny little drop of coffee was on his finger. Then he brings it to his mouth, stuck out his tongue, and tasted it. He said instantly his tongue felt a little bit tingly and the coffee tasted really bitter.
Oh.
So the first waiter pours the coffee from
This nigga just risked his life. Oh my goodness.
the glass into a clean jar and throws Myrna's used straw away and keeps the coffee cup. Devi comes back into the kitchen with them, and Myrna had already been rushed out of the cafe, so there's not much that she could do. She's looking at the coffee, and she sniffs it. She takes the tiniest little sip like waiter number 2. And after a second, she said her mouth was tingling, it was burning. She put the coffee down. She instructed her staff to label the jar undrinkable and store it in a safe place, just in case. Now, I just want to mention, at this point, Devi was still under the belief that Myrna had some sort of pre-existing medical condition.
Right.
I think everyone did.
Okay, so nobody draw the connection that
Not yet.
coffee killed her.
Yeah, I think it was
Okay.
more of like, why did that girl accuse us of doing something to her coffee? We would never do something to her coffee.
Hey man, I guess they probably didn't have Among Us back then. That's how you know somebody's the imposter. You want to get straight into it, start blaming people. Nigga, what color is the name? What color is your username? It's red? That's what I thought. You the damn imposter. Jessica. Fucking bitch. Like, why you do that?
I see.
And we serve
Why
this
the fuck you
coffee
do
every
that?
single day. We serve it table side. It's like an experience. So it does look weird. Like maybe the milk went bad. I think that was the mindset. It wasn't like, oh, do you think someone put poison in the coffee? Let's try it.
Man.
Got
It was
it.
more like, oh, that's so weird, right?
You could put his whole
So
finger
they
in this.
kept the coffee. And all of these feelings of maybe she had a pre-existing health condition, they would all change very soon. But her gut feeling of keeping this coffee would provide the police with some of the best evidence in this whole case.
Okay.
And this whole case would soon escalate into one of the most explosive murder trials
What?
that was ever televised
Oh.
for the whole nation of Indonesia to spectate.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Arif found out when Hani called him in a panic. And he said at first it didn't even register. Like he knew it was Hani calling him. He knew it was Hani when he picked up. But he was like, no, she's got the wrong number. It just didn't click. Saw her a few hours ago. He's making dinner plans for her when
bro.
she got home. He was planning their honeymoon.
Oh no.
I don't think the grief would hit him until he came back home. And that feeling of, wow, okay, her shoes are in the closet. Her keys are on the counter. Her dishes are in the sink. but I'm never going to see her again.
Bro, fuck,
And we
dude.
just started our lives together.
It's fucked
When
up,
Myrna was
bro.
brought to the hospital, at first glance, it looked like she had suffered from a seizure.
Mm-hmm.
That was the doctor's first idea. But the main cause of death from a seizure is suffocation. And without an autopsy, they wouldn't know for sure. She and her family were very religious. The overwhelming religious majority in Indonesia is Islam, but I don't know for sure what their religion was.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, though, according to many religions, autopsies are frowned upon.
Really?
Autopsies, they're actually incredibly invasive. You have to like break the chest plate oftentimes. It's a
yeah.
lot. And breaking the bone of a dead person is considered the same weight of a sin as breaking the bone of a living person in a lot of religions. So
Okay.
either
Oh,
way, you're
interesting.
harming a person and that's a sin. So typically autopsies don't happen unless they're absolutely necessary. In this case, it was necessary.
Yeah, I was about to
So
say,
Myrna's
hold on.
family, they wanted the autopsy to be as minimally invasive as possible. They consented to a partial autopsy.
Oh, okay.
Side note, while the medical examiners were conducting an autopsy, the police received the coffee from the cafe and they were running their own test.
Oh,
And do you know how much cyanide it takes to
it
kill
was
someone?
cyanide?
Listen, I am out here just putting myself on every single FBI watch list so that you don't have to, but
All right.
apparently it takes about 2 milligrams of cyanide per kilogram of body weight for it to be a lethal dose of cyanide.
Oh, good luck. I don't know what that means, but
Okay, one more time.
yeah.
2 milligrams of cyanide per kilogram of body weight.
Per
So you would need more cyanide than I would.
Yeah.
It's a very small amount. Yeah.
It's a very small amount.
Yeah.
It's a
How the fuck did she get cyanide? How do you get this?
pill.
Taking a
It's-
supplement and then opening the contents.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
type of
yes.
level. It's very small amount. You're not talking like a brick of cocaine.
So
level.
is that what you're trying to
Yes,
share? Like
okay.
a small amount?
Well, it's a small amount, but also I'm trying to share how much is in this coffee, okay? So this is not an
Oh.
exact science. I mean, some people probably have,
Bro,
I'm sure, health
cyanide?
conditions,
What the
personal fitness,
fuck?
all of that plays into a role. And I don't think it's like, oh, for sure, 2 milligrams per weight and you're gone. So there is some fluctuation, and I'm not giving you step-by-steps on how to use cyanide. But according to the CDC,
man.
it takes around 150 milligrams to kill a full-grown, average weight adult male in the U.S.
Oh.
Now, if we're going at 2 milligrams per kilogram, 150 milligrams is enough to kill someone that weighs 165 pounds.
Okay.
Myrna's Vietnamese coffee contained a whole whopping 300 milligrams of cyanide.
Oh, you was trying to overkill her, bro. What the Oh my gosh.
It's a lot. That's almost the double amount needed to kill an adult male.
Bro, what?
But you say she only take one sip.
One
Now, here's the
sip?
thing. I think everyone's sips were different. So, you know when you like run into a cafe,
Yeah.
you're probably like in the heat,
Yeah.
and then you sit down and you're like, oh, that looks so good. You take a big, healthy gulp. Now, when she says, taste it, it's disgusting, everyone's going to take a tiny sip.
Yeah.
And then the waiters, it's not their coffee, they're taking a drop. So I do think that she took maybe multiple sips.
Oh my goodness.
I
What
don't
the
think it was like, oh, this is interesting. You know, like,
Yeah, because usually you'll be like, or usually, well, for me, when I'm like trying something, it'd be like, oh, this tastes weird. Let me get another one just in case. You know, you like, that. Oh,
taking a
goodness.
little, because it's a coffee. She knows what it tastes like. I just can't imagine being like, let me take the tiniest sip.
Yeah. Wow.
I feel like you take a few sips and then you're like, oh, wait, this is what's going on with this coffee.
Trusted
Yeah.
her
And I
conniving
wonder
ass.
the 300 milligram you said is the leftover. That's
Yeah.
probably not including how much she already
She-
consumed.
Oh, she dumped that shit in there.
So this is where it gets really, really strange. Let's talk about her first partial autopsy.
Bro, it's been
The
strange.
doctors took samples of Myrna's bile, liver, and urine 70 minutes after her death. Side note, bile is the liquid that the liver makes when it stores it in the gallbladder and it helps with digestion. Now, these samples showed no abnormalities. I know, it's strange, but that's what the results said. So the coffee is testing for crazy lethal amounts of cyanide and Myrna's body is fine? Like, what's going on? Arif and the rest of Myrna's family, they had no answers. It's very confusing. How did the partial autopsy not bring up any traces of cyanide?
Is it because it was partial?
So, at the risk of sounding stupid on the internet, I'm going to try and break down how this may have happened. I'm not saying this is what happened,
Okay.
but these are the speculations. When you eat or drink something, the food goes into your stomach and then your intestines.
Okay.
That's where the nutrients are absorbed. Then the blood carries the nutrients into the liver, which filters everything out to make sure that you're not digesting any toxins. then all the nutrients travel on their little merry way to whatever cells need them. It's crazy what your body does. Like, it's kind of insane. Don't quote me on any of this, but it's a very complicated process other than just like I eat it and now it's in my blood system, right? Now, cyanide works like a greedy little monster. Cyanide attaches to all of the oxygen it can find inside of your body.
Damn.
It leaves none for the rest of your cells.
Gluttonous
it
whore?
makes you weak, dizzy. It gives you headaches. It
Oh.
can mess with your awareness and can render you unconscious.
Who the fuck created cyanide? And why do people know about, like, this is crazy. Like I feel like things like that, you shouldn't, the human person should not know about these things.
It can send you into a coma and it can even take your life.
Oh my gosh.
All of this can happen in the matter of seconds, depending on the dosage.
Wow.
So maybe it wasn't showing up because it had happened too soon to her body for it to be detected in her bile, urine, or liver, you know?
Wow.
Got it. So
Yeah.
it never even made it that far.
Damn.
So the family was forced to consent to another partial autopsy.
Fuck.
The doctors took a sample of the contents of her stomach and then analyzed it. The test came back positive for cyanide. And while extracting the sample from Myrna's stomach, the doctor also noted that all of Myrna's intestines appeared corroded,
Whoa.
which could point to poison.
Oh.
They also noted that Myrna's mouth, which would have been the first point of entry for the cyanide, her mouth, her gums, her tongue, her cheek on the inside, all of it was black.
Oh my. Well,
It
damn.
was clear. It was pretty.
Wait, because I got black gums. Hold on. Well, it ain't black. My gums are purple. But still, what the fuck? Bro, what the fuck, Jessica?
Clear to the doctors that she had died of cyanide poisoning.
What the fuck
She
is
had
wrong
been
with her?
murdered.
My gosh.
The case at this point had already reached the public eye because of the nature. You know, it happened in the mall during daylight in the middle of a cafe to a perfectly healthy young woman and an upper class establishment on top of that. Because there was no official answers, the public, they start making up their own theories. We're going to explore some of these theories, but just keep in mind these are theories and not real facts.
Okay.
So the first theory is pretty practical. Myrna had a $5.7 million life insurance policy. And even I was kind of like raising my eyebrow at that because Myrna is young. She has no health problems. She just got
5.7.
married, right?
I mean,
but
well-
we have to remember Myrna was from a wealthy family.
Yeah. Okay.
She was running one of the branches of her dad's business. She was quite literally the top manager for a very lucrative company. But more importantly, she and Arif were about to start a family.
5.
It is not uncommon for those with a lot of money to think about getting life insurance around the time that they start family planning.
That's smart.
Now, the public wasn't thinking about any of that. All they saw was a big hefty life insurance payout, and they figured that one of the family members had something to do with her death. Sadly, they started pointing the finger at Myrna's father.
Oh.
I'm not sure why.
Why?
It was her father. I mean, typically it's the husband.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've been binging You, and, you know, they keep saying it's always the husband. It's always the husband. It's always the husband. I thought that was going to be the first person that would have been accused.
That gets accused and oftentimes is the one that does it. But maybe since they just got married, maybe everyone believed her father was still listed as the beneficiary of her life insurance. This specific information is not public, but it's the only reason I can think of that, why the public would go after the dad. In the end, they dropped the theory because nobody touched Myrna's life insurance policy.
Okay.
Nobody claimed the money. The money stayed in with the agency for at least the first few months after Myrna's death. And I'm sure part of the reason was because whoever was going to touch it, I mean, the public was going to go after them.
Yeah.
So eventually they lose interest. That was the practical theory. Then we have the fantastical theory.
The what?
And not fantastical as in fantastic,
Okay.
but fantastical as in truly existing only in some sort of strange fantasy land.
What?
The business competition theory. Olivier Cafe was a popular destination. They'd been open for about a year and they were bound to have competitors. The idea was that what if one of their competitors spiked the ingredients of the Vietnamese coffee that only Myrna drank from that booth, remember? Because the other two girls had cocktails.
They could have hired Jessica as the informant. Oh, tell them I told you that, though.
Or even it was that specific cup was spiked in the hopes that one of the customers would get sick and would make Oliver Cafe look bad and lose all of their business.
But die?
The theory was crazy, but it was debunked because Oliver Cafe had served another 10 Vietnamese iced coffees that day.
Oh, shit.
Before Myrna came in. Nobody else was sick. Also, in this specific cafe, like I mentioned, the waiter makes the Vietnamese coffee at the table in front of you. It's part of the price. It's like the show. The waiter brings out the sweetened condensed milk, pours it in a glass, then brings out the coffee grinds, puts them through the filter and lets the water seep through. And the whole process is done in front of not just your table, but really the whole cafe.
That's beautiful.
It's not like a waiter from the competition came and slipped something into the drink as it's being carried out of the kitchen. Again, you could argue that something was slipped into the coffee grounds or the milk, but like I mentioned, 10 other coffees had been served prior to Myrna's coffee that day. It just didn't add up. So this theory dies down.
Bro,
Then another one pops up in its place. This one was brief, but it had the potential to ruin lives. People started pointing the finger at Hani.
Why?
Since as far
Bro, this is pissing... Sorry, Stephanie.
what the
This is pissing me off. Why aren't they...
public knew so far, the cafe was in the clear. The coffee was in the clear. That meant that Hani was with Myrna before she entered the cafe. Maybe she poisoned her then. Maybe she gave her a little candy before they walked in.
All right, I'll allow it for now.
But later, when people found out that Hani looked genuinely so upset, that she was the one contacting emergency services, organizing how Myrna's family was getting to the hospital, making sure Myrna's head didn't hit the counter.
Why is nobody talking about Jessica?
Pointing the finger at her. And they directed it
To Jessica.
at Jessica.
Yeah.
But not for the reason you think.
What do you mean?
Let's go over the last theory.
Okay.
The love triangle theory. To simplify it, people believe Jessica killed Myrna because she wanted Myrna to be with her romantically. Alleged screenshots came out of a conversation between Myrna and Jessica, and in the messages, they used phrases like, "I love you," and "I'm really happy, I want to kiss you." Now, our Indonesian researchers said that that was a major red flag. So apparently you don't really say "I love you" to your friends in Indonesia like that. In Indonesian culture, that's kind of a thing that's really only said between partners.
Oh.
The phrase "I'm really happy, I want to kiss you" doesn't exist like in America, where it's maybe like, "Oh my God, I want to kiss you." Okay, I feel like maybe in America it's also kind of interesting. But it doesn't, especially in Indonesia, just doesn't really exist. The translation in Indonesian reads quite literally.
Oh.
Now, lots of people thought that Jessica and Myrna must have been in some sort of secret lesbian relationship, or that Jessica must have had a crush on Myrna, but since Myrna was already taken, or she was straight, she killed her out of jealousy. I will say one thing to consider is that these alleged screenshots could have been 100% faked. Now, the second thing is they're studying abroad in Australia. Even though it might not seem that common in Indonesian culture, it could have been maybe they were getting accustomed to the Australian way. Like the American way. You know, everyone's like, "Oh, love you, nonstop," right? But then you go to Korea and no one's saying like, "사랑해" to their friend so casually. So maybe it's just a cultural difference that they got used to in their college days.
I guess.
But this last theory would actually catapult this case, not just in Indonesia, but everywhere internationally.
I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm not really trying to hear a theory. I just want Jessica to be caught and put her in a cell. You know?
For the rest of the world is very intriguing, I guess, you know? The whole idea that a best friend secretly loves the victim and is so upset that she doesn't love her back, so then she kills her in a cafe with a Vietnamese iced coffee. It was a whole thing. Now, it was pretty damaging for Myrna's family, even if people knew it was a rumor. In Indonesia, the majority religion is generally not accepting of LGBTQ relationships.
Damn.
That's not to say Indonesians hate anyone. That's not straight, not at all. But the general majority culture looks on these issues unfavorably. So it was just it was a whole thing.
Bro.
So when the investigation opens, the police were looking at Myrna's husband, father, sisters, and the people who had seen her last. Close family, last known contacts. That's the way they start the investigation. But then they go to the cafe, they look at the CCTV, and they only have one suspect in mind now. Jessica Wong-Soo.
Man.
The same day that they turn their attention on Jessica, the second partial autopsy is released, and the police... Oh, they're all hands on deck.
Oh, the police doing their jobs?
The murder, and it was abundantly clear that there was something incredibly wrong with Jessica. They bring in Myrna's family for interviews, and they're like, "Hey, do you know about her friend Jessica? Like, what do you have to say about her?" And they speak to Myrna's father first, and his name is Eddie. He says, I always thought of Jessica as my daughter's strange friend. What do you mean by that?
Shit.
Well, Jessica wasn't really that close with Myrna, but Jessica acted like they were closer than they were.
Oh, shit.
Jessica acted like she knew Myrna and the whole family really well. And he said, she did very strange things. Like, she would hug my wife very, very tightly when they first met. She would go into our primary bedroom when she visited the house. Look, I don't know, okay?
What's up with her?
That, to me, is kind of crazy.
Yeah, what?
Like, I think even going into my own parents' bedroom, I'm usually knocking or like, hey, I'm coming in, right?
Yeah.
But then, like,
man, I'd be tripping out if I invite somebody in and they don't ask me to open the fridge and find some juice or something. Like, what the fuck?
like to just go into your, as an adult, too. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, what is going on? That's not normal.
Yeah.
The police then spoke to Arif, and Arif knew exactly who Jessica was.
Oh, shit.
He told the police officers that Myrna was actually a bit afraid of Jessica and wanted to distance herself from her. He talked about the last time he saw Jessica during that meeting, during that little dinner where Jessica up and left. And ever since then, Myrna was kind of a bit iffy about her friendship with Jessica. And it's just also
Rightfully so.
strange. To put it quite bluntly, the reason that Hani was there was because Myrna probably didn't want to be alone with Jessica. She's very
makes
cautious
sense.
of her. And that's why they didn't even invite her to the wedding.
Makes sense.
Very interesting. The police believe they have their killer. So at the end of the month, 23 days after Myrna's death, the police officially announced to the public that Jessica was their main suspect, and they arrest her the next day.
And we coming for
Now,
you.
the first thing they asked of Jessica was for her to participate in a reconstruction of the crime. They wanted to take her back to the cafe and
Hey,
have her
bro.
walk them through everything that she did, where she sat, where she put the bags, all of that.
Yeah.
The police do this in order to get an exact idea of what happened, when it happened, and how it happened. They were going to use this alongside the CCTV as evidence in court.
And she over here trying to look all confused. Girl, you know what you did.
Now, sources are not clear if she had a lawyer at this point, but I'd like to think that she didn't, because from my very basic true crime knowledge, I feel like as a lawyer, I would maybe, perhaps, possibly not want my client demonstrating to the police how they put cyanide in a coffee cup. That is my non-law school educated opinion.
Man.
If there are lawyers that think otherwise, please let me know. Jessica wholeheartedly agreed to do this reenactment. Not only did she show police officers what happened that day, which is kind of wild to me because later she pleads not guilty.
So she confessed to all.
She doesn't really confess. She just says, like, then she put her hands up like this. So it's like really
Okay.
weird, right? But the whole time she's acting like she's on some sort of TV show. She's smiling. She's posing off camera. She tries chit-chatting with the officers like they're on set.
Did she just want attention or something? Did she want the attention that Myrna had? Because what the hell? What the fuck?
Filming some sort of TV show.
What the hell?
There's this one picture of her where she's leaning up
Nigga,
against the bar. And
what?
she's facing away from the bar. So she's like leaned back against the bar. And she's got her full prison uniform, like this bright orange color, name tag and everything. And she's smiling like someone who is, just leisurely hanging out at the bar.
Okay.
It's like she is playing a prisoner on Grey's Anatomy.
Oh my goodness.
There's like 20 officers around her that just have the most serious expression on their faces. Like, this cannot be real right now.
Like, bro, what?
Like this, I'm so confused.
What the fuck?
After arresting her, the Indonesian police actually asked the Australian police to release information they had on her during her stay. They're looking for things like speeding tickets, major purchases, just anything really. Now, the Australian police agreed under one condition. If found guilty, Jessica would not be sentenced to death. So Indonesia still has the death penalty, but Australia doesn't. And they
shit.
did not want their actions to potentially contribute to someone's death, even if they're a murder. And Indonesia is like, yeah, sounds good.
Man,
Now, Jessica's Australian file is insane.
what did she do?
Insane. August of 2015, Jessica gets into a car accident just a few months before Myrna's wedding. She was driving her car in Sydney. She was drunk, and she decided that she was going to floor it straight into the brick wall of a nursing home. Which, listen, I'm not a big drinker, and I've never driven under the influence. Like, this part is kind of confusing to me. Either she was so intoxicated and potentially falling asleep at the wheel, amongst
she
other
wanted to
things.
floor it?
But I just never heard of people driving into literal buildings like this. Like, I've heard of people getting a DUI because they drove into a pole on the street. Like, no one I personally know, okay? But, like, on the news, you know? They drive into a pole or another car or a pedestrian or, like, a building on the side of the street.
Right.
But I would imagine, like, a nursing home has a parking lot around it, right?
Yeah, what?
So that would be
Why you
some
laughing?
really, really hefty drunk driving. The
Man.
brick wall was completely obliterated, so it seems like she was going pretty fast too.
She survived that shit?
Thankfully, no residents were on that side of the property at the time. No one was hurt.
What is she, the Terminator? Did she just survive flooring it into a brick wall? What?
Except Jessica. She had a couple of cracked ribs and some chest pain, as well as a shiny new DUI charge. She was actually supposed to appear in court February of 2016, but she wouldn't be able to make it because she was in jail in Indonesia for murder.
Damn.
Not only that, but a lot of people ratted Jessica out to the cops.
Oh,
so Jessica was
shit.
facing like $15,000 in fines and legal fees for her drunk driving incident. She texted colleagues and friends where she was openly, proudly talking about fleeing the country. She literally texted a friend, "Hey, I could use the money to have like an epic holiday.
Oh, she
have new
done.
licenses anywhere, and my dad has power too." Rather than giving the money to those police, those ignorant. In another one, she texted, "I'm being pushed again and again, and I will break." Side note, since we're on the topic of conversations on text, these are not the only texts that Jessica sent that were seen by Indonesian officers.
Bro.
Even before her arrest, after the murder, Jessica was texting friends talking about how she was so shaken up about what happened to Myrna, about how upset she was. She even texted one friend back in Australia, like, "I came here because a particular someone was bothering me, but even here, like, all these bad things are happening to me."
Fuck?
But it doesn't end there. Jessica had the audacity to text Myrna's own twin sister, Sandy, an article about poisonous coffee, truly trying to divert any and all attention off of her as the murder suspect.
What the fuck? Girl.
Back to Jessica's police file.
Oh, my goodness.
The DUI charges were not the only thing on there. Remember Patrick, her
Yeah.
ex-boyfriend that she always told Myrna was so toxic, so abusive? Listen, I don't want to say that he's innocent because I don't know what truly happened in their relationship, but if you look at just the police files, Jessica seems to be the toxic one. Jessica's ex-boyfriend Patrick said that his relationship with Jessica was quite possibly one of the worst, scariest experiences in his entire life.
Wow.
And it got worse after they broke up.
What?
He was ready to move on. He was done with her stuff. But each time he would even try and break up with her, Jessica would threaten to self-harm. When their relationship finally ended September of 2015,
That's not good. That's no good. That's not good. That's
Jessica
not good.
kept sending him texts and calling him. She would threaten to hurt herself if he ignored her. She threatened and even attempted to unalive herself multiple times and tried to
Bruh.
convince him that her death would be on his hands.
No,
there
it's
would
not.
be blood on his hands.
No,
it would be
it's not.
his fault.
Oh my
She filed
gosh.
a police report each time she did that. When Indonesia got Jessica's file,
Bro.
there were
what
more
the-
than a dozen reports like that.
Yo, what the fuck, dude? Oh my gosh. Oh.
She would text him things like, "I will unalive myself with carbon monoxide."
Bro, that's
It would
not
freak him out
cool.
to the point of calling the police to do a wellness check, but also sometimes talking to her to try and help, interacting with her in some.
Shit, I feel like I have to say, yo, don't do that shit. Like, don't do that. Full stop. Don't do that shit. Like, what the fuck?
Sort of way. Another time she basically texted him that she was over life and the police were sent to do a wellness check and she was found unconscious near sleeping pills, antidepressants, and a knife.
Fuck.
And then after they broke up, Patrick's car was suspiciously and mysteriously vandalized. He requested a restraining order against Jessica, and it was granted.
Man.
Now, just to clarify, she was struggling with her mental health, but that's a separate thing from her criminal actions. I just want to put a disclaimer there to make it clear that while Jessica's criminal actions may have been influenced by her mental health struggles do not lead to criminal actions.
Right.
There are so many people who struggle with their mental health that do not hurt people.
Right.
No, there were no attempts or reports that Jessica made against Patrick, at least in the police files. Now, Indonesian prosecutors were also able to reach out to Jessica's former boss, who had filed a police report against Jessica for disturbing behavior in the workplace.
Bro.
Her name is Christy Carter, and she said that she fired Jessica days after Myrna's wedding in November of 2015. So like 2 months prior to the murder. Mm-hmm. Christy said that Jessica admitted to knowing how to kill people.
She is. Okay. See, all right, bro. Get her out of here. Come
Police
on.
clarified. Wait, what do you mean?
The fuck?
Well, she said that she knew how to hurt someone. What did she say exactly?
Bro, if somebody ever said that to me while I'm like working or at work, I'm like, girl, don't say that shit to me ever again. Don't say that shit to me. I don't want to hear that. Actually, I don't care that you know how to do this. Because you want to know why? And I'm not telling you what I'm going to do. I'm not saying I'm going to snitch on you. You know, just don't tell me that shit.
Well, on one occasion, she attempted to unalive herself. She was hospitalized, and as a supportive boss, Christy went to visit her, show her moral support. But Jessica was complaining to her, I want to go home. They're treating me like I killed someone. If I wanted to kill someone, I know exactly how to do it. I know the exact right dose. Christy was so taken aback, she didn't know what to say, but she just knew that this is
Girl,
not
you are
someone that
fired.
she feels safe to be around her employees.
You are
the business.
fired.
So she let her go.
You're fired.
And she made the right choice, clearly, because immediately afterwards, Jessica texted her saying things like, you have to die, and so does your mom. Christy said, she's manipulative, scheming, emotionally unstable. She sent me death threats.
I'm not going to hold you. She don't sound manipulative. She just sounds like she just be saying shit.
I have no doubt that she's capable of hurting or killing another person.
What the fuck? Like, what?
Another thing that would come out during the trial is that police asked Jessica to turn in her clothes from that day, and she basically was like, I can't. What do you mean you can't? Just no, I can't.
What?
Do you realize that
What
when
do you
I'm
mean?
asking, this is like a police order? They're burnt. I burned the clothes. Why would you burn the clothes? Well, they were worn out, and I don't wear clothes that are worn out, so I burnt them.
So you burn them.
What?
What?
Okay.
Oh.
On top of that, cyanide is proven to be a skin irritant. So if you touch cyanide, you could have very, very itchy hands.
Oh.
Now, once they gather up all this evidence, the prosecutors come up with their motive.
Wait, because she was itching her... Sorry, Stephanie. She was itching her hands in the video. So you telling me she got a palm full of cyanide and just put it in the drink or something?
Believe Jessica killed Myrna out of jealousy. If the motive for this murder is jealousy, that means Jessica constantly compared her life to Myrna's. Every bad thing that happened to her was a good thing that happened to Myrna. Jessica broke up with her boyfriend. Myrna married the love of her life. Jessica lost her job. Myrna became the branch manager for her family's business. Jessica was sent to the hospital for another unalive attempt. Myrna posted her engagement and wedding photos where she was wearing her signature dimpled smile and just looked so happy, surrounded by people that loved her. And
I'm trying. Okay.
Jessica wasn't invited.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is, like, does this explain why she was so mad when Myrna was like, "Girl, you should leave him"? Because I don't. Bro.
Now, I will say it's a motive for sure. Countless murders have been committed due to jealousy, right?
Yeah.
But it is one that's hard to argue in court because jealousy is such a common emotion that everyone feels. And most people will think to themselves, well, can you really kill someone because you're jealous?
Yes.
I would never kill someone because I'm jealous, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, this is weird. The public felt like it would be one thing if Jessica was from a middle or lower class family and she was best friends with this upper class girl, Myrna.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'd be too much of a contrast. Maybe it'd be that feeling of injustice. But the thing is, Jessica is also from the upper class.
Right.
Her dad owns a pretty big bicycle spare parts factory in Jakarta.
Oh, shit.
Maybe her family's not as rich as Myrna's, but they're really well off. So most people in Indonesia reading about this case, they would never even spend their money at Oliveira Cafe. It was a $3 sign establishment. To put it in perspective, the majority of Indonesians have to live on less than $4 a day. The average drink at the cafe is about $4. For an American perspective,
Whoa.
the average American lives off $160 a day. That's including like bills and rent, all calculated and split into one day, right?
Oh, interesting.
Imagine going to an establishment where you were spending $160 per person on like a drink.
Oh, hell no.
Wow.
What
Yeah.
the fuck?
So it was shocking for civilians to be like, I don't really believe that a girl from this type of class can also feel jealous of someone from the same class, basically.
You never know what may happen. You might find something very surprising.
That doesn't make sense, right? That just, I don't know. And if she can, then we should have no sympathy for this type of girl.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Jessica's problems specifically just were not real problems when you look at it compared to everyone else in the country. So the trial begins. Jessica's psychological condition was evaluated, and it was stated that she was a very smart woman, calm and collected, but she was a narcissist. They were able to categorize her, and she actually fell under the amorous narcissist. These are considered the least violent of the narcissist, the least aggressive of the narcissist groups. They have attention-seeking behaviors, but not in the way that you would think of most narcissists. They don't have this grandiose sense of self that you can feel immediately. They're actually incredibly insecure. They have a deep desire to gain affection for affection's sake. So most people want affection from their partner or their family to satisfy this human connection need that we have, right? But these narcissists, they just want affection for affection's sake. They tend to live under this rule of, if I scratch your back, you better scratch mine.
Oh, hell no.
So they will typically shower you with attention.
Oh my
They
God.
do not mean it typically,
Oh, nah.
but they will
wanna
do
return.
this because they expect you to return the attention.
Oh, that's fucked up.
I mean, it doesn't sound that bad compared to some of the other narcissists that we've talked about, right? But the problem lies in the fact that they will keep wanting more and more. There's not really a satisfaction point, and it will never stop. And I'm not exactly sure what happens if you cut someone off like that. I'm sure person to person it varies, but it's very enlightening in terms of this case, right?
Like poison your coffee.
So Jessica's trial resumes. There would be 3 judges that would decide Jessica's fate if
Oh,
she would
shit.
face the death penalty. And I know what you're thinking. Didn't Indonesia agree not to kill her, right? That's another part of this case. Like, this case just kept going more and more viral because it just kept unfolding. There was so much drama. Australia was like, hello, Indonesia. You gave me agreements in writing that you would not pursue the death penalty for Jessica. Indonesia was like, I didn't do that.
Nigga, what?
I never did that.
Bro,
And for some
what?
reason, Australia never wanted to show proof.
What?
And they didn't want to force Indonesia to comply. So it was like a he said, she said between the two countries. And Indonesia was like, well, technically, that's our citizen. And it's a crime that took place in our country. So we can do whatever we want.
Bro, what?
They're debating if they want to kill her.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if Jessica is
Wow.
convicted, she could face the firing squad, which is how
Oh
they carry
my
out the death penalty
goodness.
in Indonesia.
Holy
If
shit.
you're on death row, you get woken up in the middle of the night, taken to a remote grassy location, and you can choose either to sit or to stand. 12 guards face you with rifles pointed. Only 3 of the rifles have live bullets. It's to make the guards not know who's the one that delivered the fatal wound.
Is there a bag overhead or something?
So
Is she gotta look at them?
they all shoot, and if the prisoner survives, it's up to the commander to shoot until a doctor confirms no signs of life. Yeah, the stakes could not be higher. But if you look
And
at some
she's
pictures of Jessica
smiling.
during the whole thing, I mean, some parts she does look serious, right? If you watch the videos as well. But most of the time, she looks kind of chill. Like she's in there for a speeding ticket.
What the
No,
fuck?
matter of fact, she looks like she's supporting someone who's in front of the court for a speeding ticket. She doesn't even
Bro,
look like she's
bro, she's all teeth in that picture. Do you know what the stakes? Oh gosh. Okay. You know what?
on trial.
She's
How's the
smart.
trial going?
It's been going okay, but I can't really say anything right now.
I understand. Do you have any ideas about who murdered
No,
her?
I have no clue.
It's bizarre. It's so strange.
Fuck.
I mean, she pled not guilty. Her lawyers that are funded by her parents are literally grasping at straws, doing everything. I mean, they even lied and they were like, she has no Australian criminal past. And everyone's like, we literally have the files. Literally. When asked about, then what happened? How did she die? She's like, I don't know. She took a sip of her coffee and it happened so fast. It was just nonstop. They kept trying to pin the blame on other people. At one point, they tried to pin the blame on Arif.
Bro, I'm not, bro. See, I'm not gonna hold you, bro. Your daughter is a nut, bro. Not only did she arrive to the joint 90 minutes before, she gonna talk to the waiter talking about some. Oh, I want to pay for this now so I can get it late and so I can get it. But you hold that drink for me, and then after she does that shit, she gonna come back 15 minutes before, and you don't even know that the iced coffee is gonna melt, and then you gonna try to walk over, look up. As if like you over here, what are you looking at? You just looking at the ceiling? Oh no, you going into the other corner. In another corner. The cameras can see you making eye contact with the camera. Don't insult my intelligence. Your daughter is she the book? Where the book? Where my book at? The book? We're throwing it at you. We're throwing this book at you, okay? Fuck. Give a new name to Facebook. Shit. Throwing this shit at your face. Fuck wrong with you, boy?
They came up with this theory where her defense attorney said that one of the cafe waiters was paid 10,000 USD by Arif to kill Myrna
Be quiet.
and spike the coffee.
Quiet. No.
Yeah.
No.
The waiter was brought into court and was like, I've never seen that guy in my life.
Yeah, like what?
I've never, like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
So if niggas lying in court, do they get to go to jail too? Or we just saying whatever? Aren't you supposed to take this under oath?
In the end,
Like
it lasted
what?
135 days.
Bro,
the verdict
what?
was 377 pages long. It took the judges 4 hours to read in full. But at the end of it, they
They
said,
read it for 4 hours
Yeah.
straight.
What the fuck?
in the end, they said Jessica Wangzu has been legally and convincingly proven guilty of committing premeditated murder. They spared her the death penalty, and
Damn.
instead she got 20 years in prison,
20?
which is so light.
That's it?
Yeah.
What type of option? What the fuck? Death penalty? 20 years. That's a what?
Everyone was upset. It's not even an eye for an eye.
That's
It's okay.
crazy.
You know what? We can debate the death penalty, and I think that everyone is valid to their own opinion about it. And I just, as someone, I will never give an opinion on it
And
because
she's young too, right?
Yeah, I don't want.
That's what I'm saying.
So she's like what, 20s?
20s. Yeah,
She'll
27.
get out in
She'll get
Yeah,
out when
maybe
she's
like 47.
47.
Maybe even
maybe even
earlier.
earlier, yeah.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, that's why people were so upset. Like I was saying, you know, I will never debate death penalties because I think when you have families of victims of these types of crimes, I will never be the one to look them in the face and be like, well, no, we shouldn't kill people, right?
Oh,
The thing is, it's not even an eye for an eye. It's not even life in prison.
Yeah.
That's the crazy
Yeah,
thing. Like, I
like-
don't know how it went from death penalty or 20 years in prison.
I'm guessing that's just her family's like power or something. I don't know.
Like, why was there no life in prison?
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of countries don't strongly enforce life in prison like the States does.
Okay. So but you do the death penalty? And the other option is just 20 years and you just let them free. I guess. I guess.
Because, like, even a lot of cases, we talked about countries where it's life in prison, but on average, they get out in like 20 years. So she's going to get out in 20 years. And
Damn,
I just
kid.
cannot imagine what it feels like for Myrna's family, especially because she gave a statement. Jessica said, I did not kill Myrna and I never planned to do so. She said,
It's just
losing
lying.
her means the world for me and my family.
Oh, be quiet. Be quiet.
I will say there is a group of people that do think that Jessica is innocent. So
What?
I don't know, you know, they think that there is no evidence of her actually putting the cyanide in. There's arguments that putting cyanide into coffee will actually make it appear a darker color and not a turmeric yellow color.
Y'all arguing? Why are we arguing this? Y'all just arguing just to argue. There's no way. There's no way. I refuse to believe that. I'm going to be delusional and ignorant to this. No, there's no way.
There's arguments that her motive doesn't make sense. But I don't know, especially from what we know about justice systems, why would they pin it on another upper class woman? Typically, that doesn't really happen. They have a cold case and they pin it on lower class civilians so that, do you know what I mean? It just, I don't know. Myrna's family keep her in their memories, but they are trying to move on from the trial. They said the trial was pretty traumatic. They still post about Myrna and they keep her memories alive.
Aw.
Myrna's father recently got married and it made headlines, but thankfully the public is giving him his space. Arif is having a really hard time. It might be because of the language barrier, but he still talks about Myrna in present tense. He said, I think she is the most wonderful person I've met. She has an amazing outlook on life. He just tries to find comfort in the fact that Myrna got to experience how it feels to be in love, and he feels honored that he was the man that she fell in love with.
Fuck, bro.
It brings him a little bit of peace. And that is it for today's story.
Man, fuck Jessica,
What
yo.
are your thoughts
Fuck
on
Jessica.
this? I mean, I think that this case was going around for so long. And I think in the beginning, when I first got into true crime, I covered it and I talked about it. And I was so, like, confused about this case. But now I'm like, wow, there are so many layers to this
Yeah.
that I wasn't able to dig into prior. What are your thoughts?
Bruh,
Please stay safe. And I will see you guys on Sunday for the mini-sode.
man, fuck Jessica. Like, that's crazy. You really took this girl out. You took this woman off this earth for what? Because you were jealous because she was like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, huh? Like, what, bro? Like, what is up with what is up with people? Like, what is up with people? Why can't people just be just I don't even want to ask a dumb question. If somebody else is having a better life than you, and it's like eating you up inside, I know this may be hard, but stop looking at them. Like, stop. Unless you're using them as motivation to like get your shit right, don't be jealous of somebody, bro. Because like, there's literally nothing good to come from it. Literally nothing good to come from it. Like, what the fuck? Like, oh my gosh. Rest in peace to Myrna. My heart goes out to her family and Arif, bro. Man, fuck Jessica, bro. Fuck that conniving whore. Fuck her. And yes, I'm using bad language. I'm sorry. But fuck her. That was so unnecessary. Like real shit. Like, what the fuck, dude? All this shit was fucking unnecessary. Should get me mad. Like, this is why I keep saying, like, why do bad things happen to good people? Like, maybe I need to calm down. She gonna be out in what? Less than 20 years now? Shit, that's probably her right there. That's why the dog's barking.